Good afternoon from a rainy Youngstown, Ohio. This is the 330 Sports Show on Youngstown Studio. My name is Justin Coffin. Across from me is Joe Danyi. Today is Thursday, October 30th, the day before Halloween 2025. Here's what's going to be on the show today. We're going to talk a little bit about Youngstown State, a little bit about the Buckeyes, a little about the World Series, the Cavs, the Browns, and a bunch of Halloween stuff too. So let me ask you, where do you want to start? Pick
anywhere you'd like.
Okay.
Well, my question about Halloween, I've been wondering, like,
sure.
How do you celebrate Halloween, and what are you celebrating when you're celebrating Halloween?
Now, it's very different now as a early to mid 40s dad. It's more seen through my kids' eyes. So like my daughter's in elementary school, so she's like all into it, dress up, costumes, all that stuff. My son, he's only 2, but like he likes the candy aspect of it, and so does she. But like my role now is more so as a dad in it. I dress up occasionally. Like tomorrow, like I actually do not have a costume tomorrow, but I'm probably just gonna wear go black and orange, be simple with it. I'd say my dress up rate is about 50%. Okay. Some years yes, some years no. But I enjoy it, but it probably depends on the situation. Like when I was in college, it was fun. You go to all the parties, dress up, do this and that. As an adult with, sometimes it's just like, I enjoy it. I love the movies. I love the TV shows. I love the costumes. I love all the talk on like what's popular with Halloween stuff, but I don't necessarily partake in the dressing up all the time. Just, like I said, about 50-50.
Well, guys is easy. Women, I feel really bad for. They have 2 sections at the costume store: kindergarten and whore. Yeah, that's it. There's no in between.
Well, what about, and maybe like a little, like you can wear whatever you want today with no judgment. So it's like, if you want to be a slutty, what's her name, Tinkerbell, then there you can have at it.
That's right.
If you want to be Harley Quinn and wear the booty shorts and but dress up and do the makeup, that's cool. If you want to, like you said, there's a lot of, it's like the innocent version versus kind of like the risque, and then like somewhere in the middle. So
I didn't see the in the middle yesterday. I went to a costume shop yesterday. Oh, yeah? And I was like, either you're going to dress up as a dinosaur or a naughty maid. And there's no in between.
Yeah. There's a lot. Which, if you don't want to say the name of it, where like
the ones that pop up when any store goes out of business.
Those ones. Yeah. Those ones. And that's where, so a big costume this year, and we're going to get into some of the big costumes this year, but K-pop Demon Hunters is a show on Netflix. It's very popular for younger, like I would say teenagers. So like anywhere really from kindergartners probably to like 18-year-olds. It's pretty popular. So like a store like that pops up, they would have Korean singer murderer. They wouldn't have it labeled K-pop Demon Hunters. So that's some good stuff. What's your percentage rate on dressing up for Halloween?
Man, I probably on Halloween almost never.
Yeah.
But if there's a Halloween party the weeks before or after, I'll go help somebody raise some money and put something on. Yeah. Like it went as Joe Dirt a couple times.
Yeah, that's good.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever incorporate the beard?
Oh, for sure. Okay. Oh, I shaved it down.
Because I was gonna say you have like the natural
authentic Joe Dirt.
Oh yeah. Okay. Deer tay.
Little
deer tay. So we're gonna get into a few more costumes here in a minute. Before we do that, let's talk a little Youngstown State to start, because they are right now the number 17 team in the country for FCS. They have one of the best players in Bo Brungard in FCS, a quarterback, a local kid from Springfield High School, dad, a former quarterback at YSU. But they're taking on the number 1 team in the country, North Dakota State Bison, this weekend. The spread, I saw the spread that came out, doesn't look pretty for the Penguins.
What was the spread?
A little higher. I think the last I saw, I think it was like 27.5.
Okay.
So North Dakota State is an absolute juggernaut. They are
always have been.
They really have been since for at least the last decade.
But every time YSU plays them, they play at a different level because it's usually close to the the end of the season when we see them. And I never see players try harder and play harder than that game.
And they gave the number 2 team, South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, a run for their money. I think they lost that game 40-35 not too long ago here in Youngstown. This time they have to go to Fargo. And I believe the last time they won there was 2011. And North Dakota State, I think, was one of the top couple teams in the country then. So they pulled the upset. It's not impossible. It's not likely, but we wish, Coach Phillips, the players, all the best of luck. The one thing I will say, they're pulling out some sweet ass uniforms this weekend. I saw Youngstown State just dropped like their new jerseys and helmets. It's like all white with the red Y. It's clean. Nice. It looks real good. So would
you take YSU with the points? How are you feeling on the betting ads?
I'm gonna just stay away.
Too close.
I mean, North Dakota State's so good. So if they cover and win, it's kind of like, well, you probably should have saw that coming. And then if I'm betting YSU, I'm betting more like heart versus head. So I hope they pull the upset or hope they keep it close. But I mean, they're running into a real buzzsaw. So I hope they can prove me wrong and they pull out the victory. But
how are you doing on your betting program for this year? Primo?
Very well.
It's been a very good betting season,
yes,
both in college and NFL.
Yes. I've had, so what are we in? 8? We're through 8 weeks of the NFL. I've had 6 winning weeks. I've had 2 really bad weeks, but I've had 6+ weeks. So I'm pretty good for the season.
Over 60%?
Well, I would say no. Okay. I would say no, because how I actually have a full spreadsheet, probably 1,000 lines deep already this year with bets. And I incorporate it with NFL, whatever the week is, college, whatever the week is, and then miscellaneous. So if I do like an NBA parlay, if I do an NBA parlay, that goes in miscellaneous. If I bet the World Series, that goes in a parlay. I even bet the WNBA finals a few weeks ago. Miscellaneous. So the miscellaneous category, I'm about even. NFL, I'm up a decent amount. College, I'm up a decent amount for the year. So overall, I'm feeling good. But with the NFL and basketball, I generally play, especially for like the primetime games, like Thursday nights, Sunday nights, Monday nights. I play like some player prop parlays, and those, knock on wood, have been very good to me. So my weeks that maybe I shouldn't be over 50%, those are high odds where, they're like plus 400, whatever. So those will bump up your winnings, and that gets me over the hump some of the weeks. But yeah, hit one last night with the Cavs Celtics. That was great. Cavs couldn't get it done last night, but all my player props hit last night. But yeah, overall, it's give and take with that stuff, because I did see something with like the books. 27% of the bets are on parlays or player props.
That's where I've lived this whole season.
But 54% of their earnings are from parlays. Yeah. So they're looking for sucker bets. They're looking to get you, to hook you. I'm not claiming I'm smarter than the system, because I'm not. But I have found some successes in some of these. You do very low. You do easily attainable props. They're not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. It's gambling, but you stack a few of those and you're in the plus territory for props. And then sometimes you can boost that. And, it's been good. It's been good to me this year. So far
I've done no other betting outside the Cleveland Browns. And
okay.
I've done all parlays.
Not ideal.
All parlays.
Yeah.
And their math, they don't, the numbers in Vegas and whoever's setting these numbers, they don't think very highly of the Browns. So there's some things you can go into it and why they said it that, but like, that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I think I've done maybe $40 a week since week 1. I'm up over $3,000 on, and I've hit every parlay except for 2.
Well,
I'm nailing it, but it's stupid stuff. Like
just on the Browns,
just Browns.
Okay.
Like the one had a, would Dylan Gabriel run for more than 5 yards?
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course he will. He's going to be running for his freaking life.
Right.
But I got to have an easy leg on that parlay. And maybe you put 2 easy ones and maybe a little bit of a gamble on something. Yeah. But man, it's been kind to me.
I am 1 for 1 on the Browns on parlays this year. It was the Browns-Dolphins game. And I had like Judkins over 80 yards and a touchdown. And just a few other, Dolphins under their point total, Browns over their point total, and that hit nice. So that's good. I generally try to stay away from betting the Browns though at all costs, especially this year. So let's just go right into the Browns.
Let's do it.
Let's spend about 10
session. Is that what it is?
They get 10 minutes. Okay. That's it. 10 minutes on the Browns.
Okay.
So let's start with, let's start at the top. Let's start with Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time coach of the year. He's in his 6th year. Browns are 2-6. They were 3-14 last year. So, what is that? 5-20 over the past year and a half. They suck. They suck as a team, and that's not all Stefanski's fault. It's not all Barry's fault. I know a lot of people love to put blame on the Haslams. It's not all the Haslams' fault. It's a collective suck fest for the Browns. Where do you think the most blame should be pointed? And second part to that question, should they keep Kevin Stefanski? Why or why not?
I'm not ready to let Stefanski completely go. I am ready to let his offensive coordinator position go to the actual offensive coordinator. Play calling needs to
Tommy
be gone
Rees,
100%.
Yeah.
I think
they tried that last year.
I know.
Didn't work out too well.
I know, and for the rest of the year, let him go offload the offensive play calling.
Okay.
And then if it doesn't situate itself where it's solid, where you're not questioning the offensive calls, then let's part ways at the end of the year.
Okay. So you're giving him the leash until at least the end of the 25 season. I don't disagree with that. I don't think there's any point to firing a coach mid-season. No. Especially when, what are they going to do? They're just going to shuffle shit around and be one less coach in the building that you're still paying in a season where you're not expecting to do a whole lot. I've heard Haslam's comments on this, and basically he said, we're kind of we swung and missed on the Deshaun stuff. They took ownership for that. I love it. But they kind of said, we're using this as a reset. And I kind of like that too. I kind of like it. I don't like losing. I don't like the fact that, we got to deal with some of these awful games. But if you're going to do it, though, I just don't know why you don't rip off the Band-Aid, just start from scratch. We all love David Njoku. We all love Myles Garrett. But those guys can get you something back asset-wise. And, are we just middle? I don't like the middling. I don't want to go 5-12. It's let's just tank, go 2-15, play all your rookies, figure out what you got in the building, and let's roll it out there again in 2026 with better, younger talent and hopefully rejuvenating this roster. I know trading Myles Garrett would take a huge cap hit. I know Njoku, the same thing, but it's we're not going anywhere this year. We're not going anywhere next year. It's the year after that. So you have to look at the bigger picture. And as Browns fans, everyone's sick and tired of hearing next year. Be
patient, guys.
Yeah, let alone 2 years from now. Exactly. We've been hearing that shit for 30 years. But I don't know. What do you think they should do roster-wise? I
want to model New England Patriots as something that had it screwed up for 1 year, made big changes, and look at what they did and how they reined it in.
Yeah, it's nice they finally got a good quarterback.
That would be,
they just never
key piece.
That's a great model, though. New England is great. They are a well-run organization. They hired a guy that was in the Browns building last year that went to an Northeast Ohio high school and went to college at Ohio State. And I know he was a great player for the Patriots, but it would have been a nice guy to have in your building, a nice culture builder.
But doing the same shit and just a different version of it is not enough for me.
Yeah. So draft picks are great. I've heard people like Ashley Bastock on Cleveland.com say draft picks are nice, but they're also like a marketing campaign. It buys you more time saying, oh, look at these shiny things we could have. I totally get that too. But from my perspective, I think you just have to blow the whole shit up. Just blow everything up. And I get you gotta get out there and field a team, and you want it to be somewhat competitive, but it's like no one wants to see this product that's out on the field. Is the defense pretty good? Yeah. But is the offense complete trash? Yeah. So I don't know what it is. You got to find your quarterback. You got to get guys that can catch the ball. You got to get guys that can protect the quarterback. And I think you found a guy that can run the ball pretty well in Judkins, but it's like the Browns are just so limited on offense. So let me go back all the way back to that initial question. Where is the most blame in this Browns organization? Stefanski, Barry, Haslam, a player, you name it.
Well, I'm only blaming Barry because he's the ultimate bag holder on this. Mm-hmm. His sole responsibility is to organize that talent pool on the incoming side. And when you mess up and you double down on mess ups, you're stuck for years.
That's true.
So that's him as far as
I'm concerned.
What
if he ultimately made the trade with Houston to get Deshaun Watson, but what if Stefanski and Haslam were like, you got to make this trade? Is that on Barry, or is that on everybody?
Because if it were me and I knew that I was forced into a trade I didn't want, I still have all other trades to build the best team. And if that's the glaring mistake, then everybody's blaming the mistake that wasn't mine. But there are more than one mistakes on that field.
For sure. Okay. All right. So long answer short, there's a shit ton of blame to go around.
But if I read in the newspaper, AB has been let go, I would not be brokenhearted.
I would not. I used to be I'd stand on the table and pound the desk for Andrew Barry and Kevin Stefanski. I'm over that now.
Get rid of Podesta too.
He doesn't do shit. What does he do?
It was good theory. Get rid of him.
I don't even think he's ever been to Cleveland. It's like he lives somewhere out in the West Coast, or I don't know where he's at. But like, what does he even do? I don't even know.
Okay, so when we picked up Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, he was only picked up not because we wanted to bring him as a quarterback, but it was the best value on the board. So on his spreadsheet, it said you're either going to get good value in trading somebody away later on for whatever. So working the analytics, right, did not work in this setting. And so that was a wasted 5th round when we could have gotten someone who wasn't the 5th quarterback in the room.
Would you argue, though, Dylan Gabriel in the top 100 in the 3rd round is another wasted pick?
Yes.
So this overall was a pretty solid draft for the Browns. However, you used, I think it was like pick 94 or something on Dylan Gabriel. And then, you went up and got Shedeur Sanders, who is a great value. But is he really a value if he's just going to sit and rot too on the bench? So let's go to that situation now. Dylan Gabriel comes in. I think he's started 4 games now. He's 1-3. You look at it, his first game was in London. He actually had the Browns in position to win. They were up 17-14, and the defense gave up a last-minute drive to the Vikings. First start on a true road game, goes to Pittsburgh. That's a tough place to play. Browns haven't won there in 22 years in the regular season. Third start was that weather game against Miami that was like not great numbers, but hey, he won the game. Didn't turn the ball over in the first 3 games. Then you go to New England and you started out okay, and then it just kind of fell off the rails. So 1-3, a couple touchdowns, couple interceptions, not making terrible plays, but also not making any fun, great explosive plays.
Yeah.
So
QB2, you bring him in a pinch, and that's Dylan Gabriel right there.
Dylan Gabriel is your future backup quarterback, 100%. And I think we'd all be happy with that.
But you don't spend a 3rd round or a pick like that on Gabriel.
Now let's go to his backup, who wasn't the backup last week because his back was hurting. So Shedeur Sanders, and I am so tired of the race narrative with Shedeur Sanders. People are like, he's being blackballed. He is not being blackballed. If he was ready to play, he would play. Now, with that said, you have this bye week. The Browns are not playing this week. The team can take a couple days off, whatever. But they need to come together, regroup, and they have to see what they have with him. And they're in the building every day. They see what they're doing. First mistake was probably having 4 quarterbacks competing all for the starting job, which so you're getting very limited snaps for those guys. 2 of those guys aren't even in your building anymore. And the other 2 guys are now rookies who didn't get the majority of those snaps. So Gabriel Sanders. So are you ready to see Shedeur Sanders and see what he's got?
Might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well.
There's
the season
nothing...
up and just make it known that Gabriel's going to have the first half here, give him 6 games and give Shedeur 6 games and we'll be done with it.
Now, what if all of a sudden, like, let's say they roll Dylan Gabriel out there and he lights it up against the New York Jets? You can't pull him then, right?
No.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, let him ride the momentum till it fizzles.
So I don't see why you don't just do it now during the bye week. Just go in and say, hey, we're going to give Shedeur a shot. We're going to let him play against the Jets. Jets are not a very good team. And let's just throw some stuff against the wall and see what
I'd like to see Gabriel get one week with Tillman coming back and having a full set of receivers, really see that he has the ability to throw it farther than 20 yards down the field.
Yeah. Yeah. And he proved he can do that in college. The NFL is not college, but he played at a very high level in college football. So I don't know what I want. I think I just want to see, this team compete. I want to see what looks like there's some capability on offense. The defense, we know what we got on defense, but I also wouldn't mind if the Browns traded just about every best piece they have and just blew it up. And we're like, you know what? This is going to be a hard reset. It's going to be a bad year or 2, but you know what? We're going to be ready to compete for the playoffs in 2 years from now.
All of my Browns gear I got to set on fire again and start over from scratch with new names and new purchases. Thanks, Justin.
It is a tough life being a Browns fan. All right, I said 10 minutes. We gave him 12, so that's fair.
Close.
Let's move on. So let's see. Let's go to the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
So Ohio State is playing Penn State this weekend. Ohio State is coming off their bye. They are 7-0, number 1 team in the country. Really good offense, probably the best defense in the country. And you're playing against the Penn State team that has been absolutely run through the coals this year.
In disarray.
They're complete disarray to say the least. So 3-4, 0-4 in the Big Ten. You fired James Franklin, which I think their fans will realize he was a really good coach, and he's going to get scooped up, but he couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't win the big one. But I think they're going to have a hard time replacing him, in my opinion, because the next coach, it's like, are you going to try to go for like that big name hire, or are you going to like try to find the up and coming coordinator? Because, you're paying all this money to James Franklin now to not coach. And I don't know what their next hire is going to be. It's probably not going to be as high level of a coach, but they've had a rough year, and it's probably only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, I talked to Jeremy, a Penn State fan.
Yeah,
and he seems to think that they are not one coach away from being in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take if the Browns are a 10 on the disarray volume meter, they're like a 6.
Okay.
And so I think there's, maybe you use the rest of this year, take a coordinator, make a head coach out of him, see if you can get the other stuff figured out before you bring in another coach. That'd probably be the best bet.
The good thing with Penn State is they are in a pretty good recruiting area. They have a nice NIL. They have a large booster and alumni base. So they're going to bounce back and they're going to be fine. Will they be like national championship preseason number 2? Probably not in the near future, but they're not that far away from being back to being competitive again.
They weren't terrible last year, were they?
They were one play away, or 1 or 2 plays away from playing in the national championship game.
Yeah.
They lost to Notre Dame on a really bad interception. But like they were a really, really, really good team last year. But they were riding that narrative. I think a lot of like the national writers were like, well, Michigan brought their whole team back in 23 and they won the national championship. Ohio State brought their whole team back in 24. They won their national championship. Penn State's bringing all these guys back. They're 3-4. But Penn State also lost their best 2 players to the NFL.
Yeah.
So, like you can argue that, but, Tyler Warren's not on their team anymore. The great defensive end is not on their team anymore. So it is what it is. The Buckeyes are 20.5-point favorites this weekend in Columbus. I think they're going to get the job done. They're also going against their former defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, who left the Buckeyes high and dry. And yeah, he's a Pennsylvania guy, but he left for more money in a lateral move and has not panned out well for him, at least so far this year. So Ohio State, and it doesn't look good because Ohio State's defense has gotten better. Penn State's defense has gotten worse. So, it is what it is on that one. So, but I think Buckeyes get it done. They have 5 more games in the regular season, and it's Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, and Rutgers, and then the big one at the end of the season with Michigan. So,
can I ask you another NFL question here real quick?
Yeah.
So, Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel,
playing tonight,
and it's sort of like he's the weirdest coach that I've ever seen in NFL. And the blame that he doesn't like take upon himself, and he easily distributes the shit sandwich outward to players and other coaches.
Yeah.
How do you feel about coaches when they deflect the responsibility? Even if it's not there, you're their freaking leader.
Yeah.
And it all ends on your desk. How do you feel about him in his way?
I think as a coach, and that goes back to James Franklin, a lot of times James Franklin would not own up to his own mistakes. I think as a head coach, it starts and ends with you. Now, are there other reasons you lost that game? Player related, other coaches related, maybe not being prepared, maybe just a bad snap or a bad bounce of the ball. Sometimes bad luck happens too. But as a coach, you have to own it. Those guys are in your building. And if it gets bad enough with the Dolphins, then you cut that guy loose.
Right.
Whether it's whatever it might be. But at some point, it's like you just got to own it as a coach, even if it's not your fault. I think most of us have been there at some point, whether it's being a business owner and your employee does something stupid. And it's like, well, that employee did something stupid, but that's still my company where I have to take ownership of that.
Right.
So it's like head coach is like the CEO of a business, an organization, a nonprofit, of whatever it might be. They are the buck stops with them. Right. So you can't deflect. And if there's something you don't want to answer directly, maybe you can just say, well, you need to talk to that person about it. Like you don't bring your personal conversations. You don't air your dirty laundry, as people might say. You got to keep that stuff in house, because I think when you start deflecting, then players realize you don't have their back.
Yep.
And that's when things will really get bad. So that goes all the way back to high school. So high school, college, pros, same thing. You got to take the ownership. And, sometimes it's a hard lesson. It's a hard pill to swallow. Sometimes it might make you look like the bad guy or make you look unprepared or something like that. But sometimes it's just that's why they pay you the big bucks, right? So
it would be funner though if they just called out whatever. Hey, coach, you didn't win this one. What? Did you see our quarterback? He sucks. It's a dumpster fire out there. We need new players.
He does suck. He does suck. Real quick on the World Series. So it's 3-2. Did you see the tweet Magic Johnson put out?
No.
Okay, so before last night's game, it's obviously a 2-2 series. Magic Johnson tweets out, it's 2-2. The winner of game 5 will take charge of the series. Like it was something so simple. It was like how Bill Walton would be like, hey, the team with more points at the end of the game is going to win.
Oh,
it
that was
the
Madden.
most like
Madden was my favorite.
Exactly.
I can't even do the impression, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, circle this.
He caught the ball and he scored the touchdown.
Exactly.
They put more points on the board.
Exactly. It's like I just was like, it took me aback because I'm like, Magic Johnson. I mean, he's part owner of the Dodgers. He's a very wealthy man. He's had a great NBA career. He's had a great professional career. But man, some things probably should just stay up here and not be said out loud.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to. Sorry, I'm trying to think of where I want to go next. Real quick, since we talked about the James Franklin thing. So James Franklin is one of the many, many, many fired coaches in college football. So let me go through the list of. There's been 12 FCS major college coaches fired already. We're not even at Halloween. So LSU, Brian Kelly, human garbage. He's out. UCLA fired their coach. Billy Napier at Florida, fired. Penn State, James Franklin, fired. Colorado State fired their head coach. Virginia Tech fired their head coach. Arkansas fired their head coach. Just right down the road from us, 330, Kent State fired their head coach. Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's no longer 40. He's out the door. He's fired. Oregon State fired their coach. Stanford fired their coach. University of Alabama, Birmingham, Trent Dilfer fired.
Oh, poor Trent.
So, I mean, those are the lists. That's only 12 of the FBS coaches out of 136. There's going to be more. But there is a guy named Jimmy Sexton. He is an agent that represents a lot of these coaches that were fired. When these coaches are fired, there's a major, major buyout. Like Brian Kelly's was like 49 million. James Franklin was like 53 million. So we're talking like 30, 40, 50 million for a lot of these guys that are fired out the door. This guy's an agent. That's built in. He's getting a bag for that. He's probably getting 5 to 10% of most of what's coming out of that. So that is some good money. And he represents Lane Kiffin too, which is the Ole Miss coach, and he's being recruited now by Penn State and by Florida and by LSU. So that's just going to get him a bigger contract, which this Jimmy Sexton will then, totally get a bigger kickback on that too. So I think HIV finally got to Magic Johnson's brain.
Too soon.
Oh
BJ,
boy, too soon. And I saw Joe Midlick did comment. Brian Hartline, Joe, I have no other information on Brian Hartline. However, I don't think Penn State would be like Brian Hartline has been an offensive coordinator. Is he the best recruiter at a certain position in the country? Yes, he is. He's the best wide receiver coach in the country. He recruits at a high level, at a seriously high level. You just look at Ohio State's receivers in the NFL. But he is a first-year offensive coordinator, and there's a good chance Ryan Day's still calling a lot of those plays. I don't think you bring a first-time offensive coordinator and bring them to a major program. He would need a stepping stone job, like a MAC type school, like a Sun Belt type school, or a lower level Big Ten, Conference USA, something like that. I don't think maybe the best job I could see him at is somewhere like Kentucky that might come open, which Mark Stoops from Youngstown is the current head coach. Who's
considering Hartline? Is that Penn State?
I think a lot of Penn State people want Brian Hartline because when you think of Brian Hartline, you think of elite level wide receivers. But that also comes with Ryan Day. And Brian Hartline, love him. Another guy from the 330. He's from Canton. Played in the NFL for some years. Has been with Ohio State, I believe, the last 8 or 9 years as a wide receiver coach. And he has done a fantastic job. But it would be a loss for Ohio State for sure. And one day he's going to probably take the leap as a head coach. But I don't think your first job right out of the gate as a head coach is Penn State. Yeah. So I don't expect that to answer Joe's question. But anyway, that Jimmy Sexton thing. So let me ask you this. Out of those jobs I listed, and I'll just give you the top few. LSU, UCLA, Florida, Penn State, and I'll throw Arkansas and Virginia Tech and Stanford in there. Out of those jobs, which one would you want if you were an up-and-coming football coach and all of those schools offered you? Which one would you take?
I'm going with Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why Florida? Location?
Some of it's location.
Okay.
I like the rivalries that are, as far as fans and how they're supported by, their state.
Yep.
Florida, very popular, and they might not be always competitive, but they're on the precipice sometimes of being a challenge.
Okay. And during this time of year, you're going to hear the old Urban Meyers, the Nick Sabans. Those guys are making great money, living a stress-free life.
Absolutely.
On
autopilot.
College game day or big noon, whatever it might be. Like, those guys don't want to go back and restart a program. Maybe they are sickos and love the game so much, and that's great. But like, they're getting old. They don't want that shit right now. So yeah. So I don't see any of that happening.
Yeah, really, of those listed, like Penn State is the only one I would not want to walk through the door, no matter how much they paid me. Just because of the disarray.
Yeah, no, I agree. And think about the disarray they had in the past with the whole Joe Paterno situation and Jerry Sandusky situation. And that situation was way worse than this one. But, they're in a... I think Penn State is probably number 3 on that list for me. I would probably go Florida as well. I would probably go LSU. And I would probably go Penn State after that in the top 3. But like Arkansas, well, Walmart's home there. You get money. It probably just depends where you're from and how much money they're offering you too. So we'll see on that. All right, you want to do some Halloween costume stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do some Halloween costume stuff, some movie stuff, and I'm gonna compare some Big Ten schools to some Halloween stuff too here in a little bit. So. Any idea? Give me what you think might be one of the more popular Halloween costumes of 2025.
I'm going to go with something Stranger Things for sure.
Okay.
Which character I don't know. I haven't seen any, but I would guess.
Or maybe if you're in a group, you go as the group. Yeah. And then that show, that's topical too, because the show's coming back out in 3 weeks?
Exactly.
So the final season, which is great. Joe, I know you're a huge Wicked fan.
For sure. Absolutely.
Maybe you could dress up as Elphaba or Glinda.
Yeah, probably not going to do that.
Maybe you could be the Great Oz behind the curtain.
Uh-huh.
That's a popular one. And I'm just taking these. I went through a couple different lists and kind of like merged what their most popular ones. The Addams Family is still a popular one from the show Wednesday.
For sure.
And I think Lady Gaga's in that, and she's like a big draw for a lot of people. So we mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters. That is apparently the number 1 Halloween costume for this year. Now it's not in our age bracket. So this would be, I don't think you can be older than 25 years old and go as K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, but what would you dress up as?
They do have the boy bands too. So guys can do it, but it is mainly the three girls. And I don't really even, my daughter watches it, so I've seen it from time to time, but and the music, I don't love K-pop, but I will say it is kind of catchy, and there are some songs with some good beats in it. So that's one. Sorry, my phone. I'm using this as my cheat sheet here. Superman, that movie came out recently. Right. That was a good one. If you got a dog, they had a dog called Crypto. That's in there.
Shithead.
The dog was a shithead in that movie. For females, Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo, 2 popular ones this year. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
That'd be clever.
That's kind of a popular one. Lilo and Stitch. I never got into those movies as a kid. I know the new one came out. I don't know. I don't get it, but maybe as a kid, that's a good one. Steve from Minecraft. I think that was Jack Black's character.
Yeah.
And that's probably an easy one you could throw together in a couple minutes. All right. I just saw this movie last week. Awesome horror movie. Weapons. Have you seen it?
No.
All right. Put that on your list.
Okay.
Watch it this weekend if you have time.
That good.
It is that good. Now, some people that I know that I trust with their movie opinions loved it. Some people did not like it. I love, so it's told from, without giving any spoilers, it's told from like the perspective of like 5 or 6 different people. You remember Ozark?
Yeah.
Ruth, the blonde, the curly hair. She's like the main character in this show. It's mainly from her perspective, but then like I said, it goes from like 5 to 6 different perspectives. It gets in a little bit into supernatural, gets into some weird stuff, but basically, without spoiling it, and this is in the title, so I can tell, but basically a classroom of 2nd graders. Every kid goes missing except for one, and they cannot figure out where the kids are, what happened, and it works backwards. It's awesome.
Okay,
I would put it up there. Weapons and what's the other movie? Sinners. Those are probably the 2 of the best horror movies I've seen of this year. So,
did you see anything about Black Telephone?
I have never seen that movie. I know the 2nd one just came out, so I'd be interested in watching that.
Yeah, that got good review. I didn't, no, but it got reviewed pretty well, and I'm about to take that jump.
It looks freaky, too. It really looks freaky. So that's definitely a good one. But Aunt Gladys is the name of the character, and her character is played by. You remember the movie? What's the baseball movie with Field of Dreams? Remember Field of Dreams? Kevin Costner's wife in that movie plays this character called Aunt Gladys. She's freaking freaky in this movie. Okay. So that's a good one. Squid Game costumes.
Okay, I could see
very
that.
Popular. Katy Perry in space for the females out there. She got a lot of heat, and she's basically a meme now because she's goofy and weird, but that's a good one. The new American Pope. So he's from Chicago, went to Villanova, but he's like a White Sox fan. So people are dressing up with like a White Sox hat and the Pope outfit and stuff like that. The Coldplay Kiss Cam couple.
That would be good.
So you and Deb could pull out.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one. The White Lotus, the Parker Posey in that one is a good one. What about a feuding? If you had a buddy to dress up with, what about a feuding Elon Musk versus Donald Trump?
That would be
a good one. Good couple. Well, I like the couples
clever,
costume.
Guys, with your Halloween costumes.
Exactly.
It's gonna make me chuckle a little bit.
Exactly. Have some fun with it too.
Yes.
Jason, or so you can go with the classic ones too. Jason, Freddy, Chucky, Pinhead, Michael Myers, Scream, Beetlejuice. Or have you seen Welcome to Derry yet? Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So
too, right?
It just came out on HBO. It's called It, Welcome to Derry. And it's kind of like, so this is going to, I think it's based on, they're going to do 3 seasons of it. So what they're doing is working backwards. So the Pennywise, the clown or whatever, works on a 27-year cycle. So every 27 years, he reappears to like terrorize the town or kids or the innocent or whatever. So the original like series that was like on HBO, or I'm sorry, on like ABC or whatever, that like, I think that came out in like the mid to late 80s, early 90s. That one is, this is set 27 years before then. The next season will be set 27 years before this current season. And then the final season will be set 27 years before that to kind of give you the origin story of Pennywise the clown terrorizing this town of Derry. And I will say the first episode, holy shit, there are at least 3 scenes that made my eyeballs almost like pop out of the sockets. That scary, that freaky, but also really well written and really well done too. And Stephen King in his universe ties all these characters together somehow. So like and this is during like civil rights era and stuff. So like white people and black people aren't quite getting along well. But one of the they're by this military base. One of the drivers of the Jeep is the guy from The Shining has the shine. It's the Doc character. Yeah, the guy that talks to Danny. So he's like a young guy in this show. So it's really cool to see how it's all interconnected and woven together and all that stuff. So that is a high recommendation for sure. So if you can, try to watch Weapons and try to watch the Welcome to Derry. And they're both on HBO.
And you said Sinners is a yay or nay?
Sinners is a yay.
Okay.
Yeah, very well done. Takes place in like Jim Crow era. I think down in Mississippi, but like a couple bootleggers come down, brothers, which actually they're twin brothers, but that's played by Michael B. Jordan, who's the same character. He's playing them both, which is really cool. But a lot of really good music in it. There's some like racism undertones, but it also turns into a horror movie within some supernatural elements. It's really cool. So definitely 3 recommendations there. So that's your Halloween fill right there that you can get some good stuff in. So do we have time to you want to go through Big Ten schools as Halloween candy?
Sure.
I'm just
can't even picture what that means.
I wanted to do this on the podcast because I posted it out on social media, and like when I say it, I think it had over 500,000 views and impressions. So I thought this would be fun to just go through this.
I'd like to see Landry do this. This would be amazing.
It might actually be funnier with her reading it. So maybe I will do that. I also did Big Ten teams as Halloween villains. And I did Big Ten teams as towns from Youngstown too. So those are out on social media, but let's just do the candy, have a little fun with it. So Ohio State, when you think of Ohio State, you think of a Buckeye, right? A Buckeye is chocolate and peanut butter, the candy too. So I went with Reese's peanut butter cups. They're elite. They're always ranked number 1 in the Halloween haul. And if someone trades this away, they cannot be trusted. So Ohio State, Reese's. Indiana. Okay. Indiana is a school that no one really has had a lot of high hopes for until the past 2 years. So Starburst, because they burst on the scene, little play on words there. Great flavor, excellent at home or on the road, popular choice amongst many, even though it doesn't have a long history. And also their head coach is named Kurt Signetti. And so like I also considered like candy cigarettes, like smoking some of his opponents. All right, Oregon, Skittles. Fast, flashy, full of flavor, but occasionally explodes into chaos when too many fall out at once. When I think of Skittles, too, I always think of The Hangover when he throws the bag down. He's like, hey, there were Skittles in there. So good. All right, this is one of my favorite ones. Michigan, Snickers. So most people really like Snickers, too. I'm a Snickers fan, but Michigan claims it satisfies better than anyone else. Very popular, very reliable, slightly smug about it. Mm-hmm. Also, what everyone not in their fan base does when they say they don't cheat. They snicker.
Okay.
Little play on words there.
It's got a nice little vein on top.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. If Big Ten schools were Halloween candy, USC, Sour Patch Kids. First they're sweet, then they're sour, then they're sweet again, then they're sour again after either an upset win or a coaching scandal. So Iowa, this one I think is maybe one of the most spot on one. Hershey Bar. Boring but dependable. Never flashy, slow to enjoy, but always finds a way to stick around in the stash. I think Iowa's pretty spot on. Penn State. I think you'll like this one. This is for our friend Jeremy, too. Penn State Kit Kat. Solid, loved by many, but always breaks apart under pressure.
It's good. Very good.
Washington Jolly Ranchers. Strong flavor, hard to ignore, can be excellent or just middle of the road depending on the season's flavor. Illinois. Three Musketeers. Every few years, someone goes, hey, it's kind of underrated. And then they forget about it by the time Halloween comes around. Okay. Now, this one, I will say, I'm like a one-man band when I'm making my stuff and like posting it out on social media. So occasionally I make typos. I try to really proofread and do stuff before I put it out there. But occasionally, you make some. This one, somebody caught it on social media, but it actually made it better. So, Maryland Butterfinger starts off crispy and promising before quickly falling apart and sticking to your, and I left off the H on teeth, and it became stuck to your teeth, and that person had a ball with it. So, but sticking to your teeth the rest of the day.
Nice.
Thought that was fun. Minnesota Tootsie Pop keeps shouting, row the boat, as everyone tries to figure out how many licks it'll take to crack their offense. Nebraska, candy corn. That just seemed obvious. Swear it used to be amazing back in the 90s. Everyone else isn't sure why we're still talking about it. Northwestern, dark chocolate. Sophisticated, probably fair trade. You respect it more than enjoy it. Maybe you'll write a little piece on candy ethics after you enjoy that dark chocolate. Ouch. UCLA, nothing. They're just getting ready for swimsuit season. Rutgers, the off-brand candy that just says toffee. You're not mad it's there, just confused on how it ended up in your bag all the way from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Michigan State, Pop Rocks. What did I just watch or eat? Can be a fun experience or an awful time. Purdue, Nerds. Tiny, chaotic, unexpectedly powerful in the right matchup, occasionally ruins bigger candy seasons. And then finally, Wisconsin, Circus Peanuts. The grossest of all the candy for this 2025 season, but they have a loyal following for those that love them. So that was my comparison for Big Ten schools and Halloween candy. So.
Now, if we're taking college head coaching jobs, I want Wisconsin. Even I know they're not up for.
It's coming up soon. I bet.
I want that one.
Yeah. Why Wisconsin?
I just think that program is just so established. You could do such good, the highest potential of all the other ones.
And the bar isn't as high as an LSU or a Florida or a Penn State, where Wisconsin was in the Big Ten West for quite a while, and they got kind of lucky because they played easier competition. They didn't have to play, Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan every year. They were playing Iowas and Nebraskas and, Minnesotas every year. I would recruit all Wisconsin boys for every position. Just a
big,
lot of
strong
offensive linemen. Yep. Yes, I will say. So since I've done a show here last, I've been to Notre Dame, drove to Notre Dame, and I drove to Madison, Wisconsin. Madison, Wisconsin, I will say, was one of the most fun college campuses I have ever been to. It was awesome. The experience, the fans were great, even though they were really down on their team. But I could not compliment Wisconsin enough for how pretty that campus is. It's in the state capital, and everyone there was a lot of fun, and it was just a really great experience. So Madison, Wisconsin.
What'd you wear? I want to know how
I took all Ohio State gear.
Okay,
the entire time, out. And I was treated extremely well. So nice. Yeah, and the nice thing now, though, it was, because if you're going into college bars and whatever, being in your, 40s versus being in your 20s is a little different. You might stand out a little bit more. But my buddy Greg and I went, and I felt like we hung pretty well. We hung pretty well with the college kids, but we had a little help on our side because it was Parents' Weekend. And there was a lot of parents out there who were a lot older than us. And it made us not seem probably quite as young. And this is just something we like to do when we, go to a random bar in a random city or whatever. If they have a Pop-A-Shot machine, I'll put $5-10 in that thing. And we went to 2 different bars there, on campus, and Greg set the record on one, I set the record on another, and you draw a crowd when you're draining those things, and it's a good way. We got some people buying shots for us, buying some drinks for us, so we had a good time. So hats off to the people of Madison, and hopefully things turn around for them too, because Wisconsin is a proud football tradition and good school overall. So I don't know. Outside of any job, let's take Ohio State off the table, but any job that's available or not available. So there's 135 in college football to choose from. If you had your pick of any college football job, what would you take and why?
Oh my goodness. Based on a fan of the team, or what's my perspective?
It could be anything. It could be location, it could be tradition of that school, fan base, alumni, NIL, whatever you want. Recruiting, Anything you want.
All right,
so.
I would say, but my second favorite team after Ohio State is Texas A&M.
Okay.
And so that would probably be, my hit. I'm trying to think something down south.
That's a good one too, because they have a crazy wild fan base and they have a lot of money down there to spend. So that's a good one.
I want to pick something down south, but nothing's coming to my brain.
I mean, Texas A&M's pretty south.
South, our way south, not that way south.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. What's yours?
No. So if I could not choose Ohio State, I would probably go somewhere like Oregon, Washington, or Clemson could be available. Clemson or I would probably, in this day and age's college environment, probably want something in a large city. But if you think down, I would probably go Texas. Texas would probably be number 2 behind Ohio State, because Austin is an awesome city. There's a ton of money there. Your boy Elon's there. He could probably fund the whole NIL thing. Whatever. I think, there's so many people that have moved to Austin, Texas. So I would say Columbus, Ohio, Austin, Texas might be honestly the 2 best locations for college football. And ironically, those teams, play each other. Texas came here into Columbus this year. Ohio State goes down there next year. So I would probably say Texas.
Okay.
But Pacific Northwest, beautiful. And you got a lot of Nike money up there in Oregon, and Washington, Seattle. That's a big city.
Weather sucks up there. So take the Texas weather over the
that's a good point. Anytime. That's a good point. So, all right, let's do like 5 minutes of random topics. Okay. Or
can we do that comet that's going to invade the Earth?
Yeah, that's my last thing.
Sweet.
That's my last thing as a scary Halloween. So 3-Eye Atlas.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So yeah, I've read and listened to a little bit on that. So first thing I want to talk about, let's not spend more than a minute on this because I hate this, but I do want to bring it up. 6-7. You know anything about it?
We talked about it this morning.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So tell me what you know.
Just an annoying compilation of numbers for the one generation to annoy all other generations.
Yes. So I saw somebody posted out. They said, when I was younger, like, and this person's about my age, they used to just draw that random S. Do you remember drawing the S? The 3 lines on top, 3 lines on the bottom, and then you'd make the fancy S. Like, that had no particular reason, but it also didn't annoy the hell out of people.
Right.
So from what I understand, this started with LaMelo Ball, who's like a Charlotte Hornet. He's 6'7", and like the announcer said something, and it just became like a meme and caught on, and it's had other origins as well. But I don't know. I personally hate it and just want to move on from it. But does that mean we're old, or does that mean it's lame? Or
no? What? We were much more creative when we were coming up with our annoying things.
Okay. All right. Speaking of old, but we had this as a kid. Nintendo just turned 40 years old this past couple weeks. Favorite, and me and you might agree on this or disagree, I'm not sure, but favorite, I'm not going to let you just get away with one. Favorite 2 Nintendo games of all time. Or if you have more, you can list them more. I have my 2 right off the bat. So if you want me to say it,
go ahead and say yours.
Right. So my 2 are Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay.
Probably the game I played most in my entire life on any system, and Tecmo Bowl. I think Tecmo Super Bowl. I think that was the one. But so those 2 by far my favorite 2 games.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mario Brothers. That was the first and whatever. And
the original?
The original.
Okay.
One. Yeah. And I didn't have the other ones, so don't have anything to compare to.
Yeah, that's fine.
And there's got to be a football game, but I can't remember what console it was on. It might have been Tecmo Super Bowl. Yeah, so I'll go with your same answer.
I spent a lot of time playing RBI baseball. I spent a lot of time playing Super Nintendo.
I'm bringing
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm sure I have a better answer.
Even Jaws had a random game. Did you ever play Zelda? Zelda was a popular one. But Super Mario Brothers 3, where he's like the raccoon and flying, that one to me is by far the best. I would and I don't spend a whole lot of time remembering Nintendo games, but that was for sure one of my favorites of all time. So we got a list here. That's a Super Nintendo list. Oh. So Mario Kart on Super Nintendo was a game, I think a lot of people in middle school, high school, college played a lot. There's some Nintendo. That's Super Nintendo again, too. I don't know. So if anybody out there watching, let us know some of your favorite Nintendo games growing up as a kid. Duck Hunt. Did you ever play Duck Hunt with a gun that was provided?
Yep.
That one was kind of fun. Oh, there, right there. See that AG right there? Yep. If it brings up the picture, that's even better. So this is great podcasting right here. Let's see what so Donkey Kong. That's a good one.
Man, maybe I didn't play Super Mario all that much, or Nintendo all that much.
That's all right. But I mean, like, there were so many memories out there. But you know, like, people are always like, oh, don't let your kids spend so much time on your Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf and Gauntlet. That's interesting. I don't know. I never played that one. But yeah,
Fighting Golf. That's interesting.
That
Lee
sounds
Trevino
like
doesn't seem
like
like
Happy
a
Gilmore.
fighting type.
No. Playing with what did he say in the original Happy Gilmore? Oh, Grizzly Adams did have a beard. Okay, we'll move on from that. But that's something I'd like to revisit, like maybe come up with like a draft or a list on that. In China, here's some random news. This sounds very China. China is at it again. Public bathrooms in China are forcing people to watch ads in exchange for using toilet paper. Have you heard this?
I've not heard that. That seems like a good trade-off.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little screen. You just watch an ad.
That's
you get
fair.
I mean, is it 2-ply? If you're giving premium.
Do you have to watch 2 videos to get the double ply? Or if you watch one, you get the single ply?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, okay. And then finally, let's go to the 3i Atlas.
Yes.
Now, I listened to that. He was on Joe Rogan's the other day. He's like a Harvard professor. Ari, is that his name?
Sounds about right.
He had a very thick like accent, but this guy was smart as hell, and I learned a lot from listening to him. But your thoughts on what 3 means? Like, it's the third interstellar object that has ever come into like
that we've tracked or observed or knew about. So this is the third one that's on our list. So
apparently today or tomorrow, it's coming out from behind the sun.
Well, it's beginning right now to come around the side. So yesterday and today, we should get a glimpse on what its trajectory, if it's changed its momentum or whatever. We should start being able to measure.
Well, and this guy said, and I apologize, I can't remember his name, but he was so intelligent. He's forgot more than I'll ever know. But he was basically saying, if this was an intelligently made, behind the sun would be a perfect place to shift course or let go of some of your maybe smaller pods or something, if this was an actual intelligent object.
Yeah, think about it this way. Like, even when we've traveled, we've used our spacecraft and shot it around the orbit of a body.
Yeah, because you can use the sun's...
Exactly. So if you were going to make a course correction and you want to pick up some speed using the sun's gravity, that would be a great way to do it.
Now, we've talked about this before, and I was like, or initially I thought it was around Thanksgiving. You said like late December, mid to late December. I think that's still on track for like what, December 18th, 19th, 20th, somewhere around
there? Exactly. And we're going to get an idea whether or not it's going to just scoot through the other side of the solar system and be gone.
It's basically like 1 astronomical unit away. It's going to be
6, I believe.
So, I mean, that's the distance from what? Us to the sun?
Sun to right right after Mercury.
Okay. So, I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close as far as things go. But this guy also said this was like the size of Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. 5 kilometers.
So we're talking a pretty large object, and it doesn't seem to be acting as traditional space junk does.
So many anomalies, it's not even funny.
So what enlighten me? Because I part of me is like, I just hope it's nothing. I hope it goes through and is gone. And there's a little part of me that's like, man, what if this is really something? Because, like, you know, I think humans are not very humble sometimes. We think we are the alpha, the omega. We're like it. We're number one. But like, there's a good chance we're like a very small little, unimportant thing in the universe. And this thing that goes by, maybe it's just a rock, maybe it's a meteor, maybe it's a comet, whatever, I don't know, or maybe it's something else entirely. Who knows? So
I'll give you my separation. So I think it's a 50% chance it's just a comet that's going to scoot through. I give it like a 10% chance of being something that it maybe was expelled from a previous civilization somewhere, and it's just a floating nothing, but it's composed of man-made materials like that alloy, that nickel alloy that they say that it has. And then I'm going to give it less than a 5% chance of being some kind of probe, like something that there's no things on it, but it's a device to be able to study, monitor, and it just to fly by to see what was going on. And then that small percent that it's aliens, they're going to start shooting lasers at us, and we're done for.
Okay. Now, apparently, like way back in, I believe it was 1977, in Delaware, Ohio, which is not very far from here. It's like just north of Columbus. They received the signals from somewhere in outer space called the WOW signal. Yep. And this was like, it was, I think it was like 68 seconds or 80 seconds or something of this, like we don't get that, like it was unheard of literally before. But we got this signal from somewhere out in space. No one knows where it came from, but they said, that where this is tracking from, there's a 0.6% chance it's on the same exact path or came from that, which is not nothing. 0.6% chance. I mean, that's a hell of a lot better odds than winning the lottery. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's the angle.
That's 1 out of 200.
So when it was pointed to the telescope that heard the frequencies the first time around, it's within that 0.6 degrees of that signal. So that's interesting.
What would you, if you could, what would you hope for this to be?
Proof that there was a civilization, that either something happened and they put out a call in 77 that said our civilization just died, and this is like part of the explosion that happened after the civilization died. We capture it and find that there's man-made materials on there like nickel alloy. That's my hope. And then we can say, I know, even if they're not alive right now, there was somebody out there.
And there's a good chance with how old the universe is that we are very insignificant, very unintelligent compared to people that have been, things, whatever, that have been around for billions of years longer than us. Even think how much technology has changed from even like 20 years ago, let alone 50 years ago, let alone 70 years ago. They used the rocket or whatever they used for the spaceship that apparently went to the moon, was had the computing power of this cell phone right here. So
you think do you think civilizations are behind us and will be dumber than us, or more evolved? And
I think way more evolved. I think we are very low on the totem pole.
Okay.
But I do think they would be interested in us, if whatever they are, because we are, I've heard other people say like we get to this point of civilization and then we annihilate ourselves, or some destructive thing happens where, the world starts over and then life begins again. It's like, they talk about that with the pyramids and with like other things like that, but it's very, it all is so intriguing. And I don't know if I can wrap my head around it all, but I am not a skeptic on stuff like that. I want it to be true, but I'm also like, all right, they're like, weed out some of the BS and get me to the good stuff. So
let's just say this thing comes around the other side of the sun. It makes a turn, aims right at us, starts shooting lasers. Do you think someone on this planet launches like a fleet of something that we didn't even know was there to go take on this ship and blow it out of the sky?
I mean,
you think we're just like
at that point? At that point, I hope so, because so my question would be, to answer your question with a question, do you think any civilization that might be out there, any form of intelligent life, do you think they're necessarily violent, or would they be peaceful, or maybe somewhere in the middle?
In sort of like the infinity of the universe. So there is an infinite amount of violent civilizations and an infinite amount of totally peaceful, reasonable civilizations.
Just hope we find a peaceful one.
But there's so much distance between all of them. There's a filter that will always keep them separated. So they'll live in their own thing without overlap. So I don't think this stuff is supposed to happen. I think, the design is that they're far enough away that we don't have these interactions.
Yeah. And, I saw even like the farthest probe we've ever sent out is like one light day away from Earth. So,
and it was launched in the 60s.
Yeah.
And it is only on interstellar space in the early 2000s. So.
Yeah. It's wild. Like
distance. Yeah.
Like if you ever have time, people out there, like go Google like the planet sizes and the star sizes and like realize how insignificant we truly are. And that, you being late for that meeting for 3 minutes really doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, so it's pretty wild. Like, so, I guess, over the next month and a half, we're going to have some answers. So we're going to keep on this, but, yeah.
Get your affairs in order no matter what. Because even if we're wrong, at least getting our affairs in order never did anybody wrong.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. It's good. It's just good practice. It's good practice. Yeah. Set your New Year's goals maybe a little early this year, just in case. Yeah, because it's about 2 months away from apparently being like at the closest point or whatever. So, all right, we'll end it there. So you got any good Halloween stuff going on this weekend?
No, I was hoping to do a ghost hunt or something like that.
Yeah.
I've been really out of the mood for doing stuff like that. I watched The Shining the other night, hoping that was kind of spark things.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it, but I'm just not feeling it right now for some reason. Okay. Maybe there's too much tragedy in the real world. I don't want to hit a movie that gets you in that mood.
The real world is scary enough.
Exactly.
So let alone throw some Halloween stuff
Halloween.
on it. Exactly. All right. So, well, we're going to end it there. For Joe Danyi, I'm Justin. BJ in the back. We appreciate you guys watching, listening. Go tell a friend, like, follow, subscribe. All that good stuff helps us out and helps the the show grow and the podcast grow. So we appreciate you guys. Have a happy Halloween. Have a great weekend. Go Bucks. Go Penguins. We will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow